So you're thinking about buying a Steam Deck, but you don't know which one you should go for? By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one you should go for. So let's get started. First off, let's get the basics out of the way so we're on the same page. First up, you should already know that there's 3 different models. There's the 64GB, 256, and the 512. Second, you should know the differences between these 3 models. The 64GB option and the 256 come with the same exact carrying case, but the 512 is slightly different. But mainly, it's the same build of the case on the outside, and it will do the same exact job. If you want to see exactly what the differences are, then check out my video linked up here or there. You should also know that the 64GB option and the 256 both have a glossy display, and the 512 has a matte display. Should you decide based on these? I don't believe so. And here's why. For both the 65GB option and the 256 option, you can get a matte display for about $10 off of Amazon and just stick it on there and it will look almost exactly the same as the 512 option. So if you prefer that matte display, then it doesn't matter which one you should go for. However, you should know that if you do go for the 512 and you end up not liking the matte display, you don't have an option to make it glossy display. And as far as performance goes, all 3 of them have the same graphics card and the same processor. So performance is the same, except that the 64GB option has a storage that's basically the equivalent speed of an SD card, unlike the 2 other ones, the 256 and the 512, which have an NVMe SSD. It's basically much faster. However, that doesn't reflect on how much FPS you're getting when you're playing a game. All that means is that when you're opening up a bit of a bigger game or a heavier game, then both of the other options will load faster into the game. But after they get into the game, then all 3 options will have the same frame rates and the same performance. Unless that game has a huge demand on the SSD where it wants more speed, but I haven't seen a game like that. And other than that, if you have fast internet speeds, then you'll be able to see faster speeds when you're downloading anything on the 256 and the 512 options, unlike on the 64 option. Alright, now that all of that simple stuff is out of the way, let's move on to which device actually fits you. So chances are, you fall under one of 2 categories. Either 1, you are a techie person and you like tinkering. Or 2, you're a non-techie person, or you just want something that works out of the box and you don't want to waste your time tinkering. So if you fall under that category, let's start with that first. First up, ask yourself, what are you looking to do on the Steam Deck? If you're just getting the Steam Deck because you're looking to emulate older games, then honestly, the 64GB option would be perfect for you, because older games don't take that much storage. They were actually very small, and if you ever need even more storage, you can always add an SD card, and the SD card is more than fast enough to run those games and any of the newer games on Steam as well. So if you're looking to pay as little as possible and you want to have as much storage as possible, I would recommend getting the 64GB option and just adding in a 1TB SD card. So with about 1TB of storage, I would say that would be more than enough for you to be able to emulate your old games and download new games off Steam. You can also get more than one SD card and you can swap them out if you want to swap between different games, and that way you can have even more storage if you want. Now, if you want a device that would be even faster as far as load times when it comes to opening new games up, or whenever you hit a loading screen, then you could always step up to the 256 option, because that one will have the NVMe SSD inside of it, which they say on average it'll be about 12.5% faster when it comes to loading screens. And same thing, you can always add an SD card to that. If you need even more storage, you can always get the 512 option, but I don't really recommend it just because it doesn't feel like it's a good value for the money. And the reason I say that is because between the 256 option and the 512 option, you're paying about $120 difference to go from 256 to 512, which doesn't seem like a good value if you can just get yourself another 1TB SSD while still giving you the choice between a glossy display or a matte display. Because like I said before, you can always get a matte screen protector and put it on there. And the difference in speed between the 512 and the 256 option as far as storage goes is negligible at best. Now, what if you're a techie person and you're willing to tinker? Now for you, you're going to have a lot more options, and you'll be able to save even more money while keeping more storage. But there's always a risk you should look out for. So what I'm about to say may void your warranty, so proceed at your own discretion. And here's the thing. The difference between the 64GB and the 512GB is $250. So for that difference, if you are looking to tinker, you can always get the 64GB option because it's the cheapest, and you'll find a lot of documents online, like from iFixit, or a lot of videos on YouTube about how to open up the device and replace the internal storage. And you can add your own NVMe SSD, just make sure you get the right one, and that would be much cheaper because you can get a terabyte for way less than the difference between the 64GB and the 512 option. So you could swap that 64GB, and on top of that, you could get yourself a 1TB SD card, and you can get yourself a matte screen protector. And after buying all of these, you'll still be under that $250 that you would have paid if you would have gotten the bigger option. And by the end of it, you'll have a 1TB NVMe SSD as well as a 1TB SD card for a total of 2 TB, and you'll still be saving money. But here's the thing, replacing your SSD won't necessarily void your warranty. However, your warranty will get voided if you do anything wrong. That's why you should be careful. But from what we know so far, if you do open the device and you replace the SSD without damaging anything and you complete everything successfully, and something else happens to break to where it's not related to the procedure that you've done, then you should be covered under the warranty, and the warranty won't be voided. And with that, hopefully you made up your mind on which Steam Deck works best for you. And if you have any questions, please leave them down below. And if I helped you make up your mind or you learned something new, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. So long.